Are you an event professional and you're looking to post more about what you do and just kind of build your online profile? Well, this is a part 2. I will link to part 1 that I posted last week about my content creation tips for event professionals. I thought I got it all in one video, but no, there is more that I want to share. So this is part 2 of some content creation tips for you as an event pro. Before we jump into it, I'm Logan Clements. I'm a freelance event producer based in Seattle, Washington, but I execute events here and all over the world. I do want to remind you to like, subscribe, turn on that little notification bell so you get notified every single Monday when I drop new videos. I'm also the co-host of the Better Events podcast with fellow event pro Mary Davidson. We drop new episodes every Wednesday where we dive even more into some of these topics. We have some great episodes about social media from the podcast. I'm going to link them down here so you can go and listen wherever you listen to podcasts. So you are hopefully watching this after watching part 1 about my tips for content creation as an event professional. This is part 2 where I'm going to expand just a little bit more on some of the best practices that I have learned over the years, the past 4 years, I would say, as having a pretty steady content creation kind of flow, both with this YouTube channel here as well as with the podcast. Depending on who you are, you might be working an event where you can't necessarily share everything that you're doing, whether it's an internal event or it's a client that maybe you signed an NDA with. And I guess caveat, I am not a lawyer. Please consult with legal people if you really care about some of that stuff. But from a real event producer who has worked these events where I'm maybe not supposed to be sharing the exact content of what we're doing, workarounds that I've had is I will take a selfie in my hotel room because I'm not sharing the name or location really of the client. I'm not showing the exact name of the hotel. I can say, hey, I'm in Denver, and it's a selfie of me dressed in my all blacks, ready for work. And that's content that I can share. Another workaround that I like to do is I will often share the first letter of the client or the name of the event that I'm working if I'm not in a place where I'm allowed to share the full name. So I'll say, hey, I'm working M's conference or I'm working G's webinar. And that's a way that, again, I haven't had anybody have issues with it that I've worked with. And it's a way that I can still kind of show what I'm doing without necessarily breaking any of those NDA or releasing any information. I never post information from inside of ballrooms where there's slides that have some kind of internal processes or anything on them. But I have found taking, again, a selfie in a bathroom or in a hallway where it's not necessarily totally clear exactly what it is has been a workaround. And so I want to make sure that even though you are not supposed to post very specific revealing content, there is still an opportunity for you as an event pro to post about and talk about what you do. You just might need to be in a more general way if you're talking about it, a client that's a little more sensitive about that. On the other hand, you might have an event that is very public. A lot of the sporting events I do are very public. And as long as it shows the person, your client, in a positive light, they're really okay with me posting. So that's a time when you want to make sure for sure that you're posting, you're showing that you're at these things. I think sometimes, again, we get so hung up on not wanting it to look perfect, perfectly polished. But I have found the more that I just post and I just take a selfie with my colleagues or me on the field or say, hey, can someone take a quick photo of me? Like, those do really well. And I might feel weird doing it. You're going to probably feel weird the first few times. I still feel weird doing it 4 years in, but I know the content is really helpful. It really backs up and puts, I'm showing, not telling what I do. They're seeing me with my headset on the sideline of that football game. And that's going to be much more impactful than a sentence that I've written saying, oh, I worked the sideline at the game. Having them together, yes, that will definitely help. But make sure that you're also showing, not telling. I know also as event pros, you probably have tons of photos of your event, of your site, but you're not in them. Please, please, please get yourself in a photo. I know that selfies have become much more of a thing. I feel like 10 years ago, me would have cringed that I've posted as many selfies as I have, but sometimes that's just how it goes. I'm going to be the only one who can take that picture. But I've also, again, pushed myself to try to ask people to either take my photo or take it with the team. I like taking pictures with other people than just myself. And that is super, super helpful. And my next tip for you as an event pro creating content is you're going to get traction with new clients or potential clients who passively interact with your content. I was just talking about this with someone at an MPI event where we thought it was so funny that we've had people comment on in real life on things that we've been doing. And they're like, oh yeah, I saw that on LinkedIn. But if you actually go back and look at your LinkedIn post, you're like, oh, that person never commented or liked it. Like, they just passively are seeing it. And that's something that I felt like I didn't learn until I booked my first client through Facebook. It was a friend of a friend referral for a virtual event production assistance and producing a virtual show for them. And I was sitting there being like, how did this person know that I was doing the virtual thing, doing Zoom, doing all these things? And I'm like, we're friends on Facebook. And she's never liked or commented on my posts, but because I was creating videos, I then forced myself to post my videos on a weekly cadence on Facebook. And she must have seen them enough times that then when her friend said, hey, do you know anyone who knows virtual? I came to mind. Which, like, if you're into marketing or you understand marketing, like, that's the dream for anything that we do. No matter whatever your specialty as an event professional is, you want that association. You want someone to think of you. And I'm like, the only way she would have thought of me is because I was posting on social media. Now, for me, my gateway was doing these YouTube videos. I then made myself post the YouTube videos I was doing because I worked so hard on them. And that's how I got there versus just posting photos. But I know for some event pros, it can just feel so much to have to do videos or audio or something like that. So don't feel like that has to be you. But just know it's not about the likes. It's not about the comments. It's really just about the exposure for yourself. I'm not saying work for exposure. Don't do that. But for you, posting in that cadence, you never know who it's going to reach. You never know where it's going to lead. And so make sure that you are posting. That's like my first video. I said, just post. That was my first tip. Just post. Just do it. You'll be surprised what's going to come from it. And my last tip for you for content creation as an event pro is to be consistent. And I think I'm going to take a different stance on when you hear consistency. You're like, yes, Logan, I know that means I need to post all the time or post every week. Consistency can look different to you than it does to someone else, but you just need to keep going. One of the things I see that's so interesting about event podcasts, if you look, Mary and I, we are in season 4 as of right now in 2024 as an event podcaster. And if you look, we were talking with another podcaster, very few podcasts make it past 10 episodes. We're now in our almost our 150th episode. So we have been at this a while. And one of the things that is so interesting about the event podcast world is there's a lot of great event podcasts out there. But it's true, they don't make it past 10 episodes or past a season. And the podcast just dries up. It's done. It's over. And I find myself like, I wish I could reach out to some of these these hosts of these podcasts to be like, you had great content. And I bet something happened, maybe something, kind of, dramatic maybe in their personal life, or they just got busy professionally and got out of the cadence of making their podcast. And then it just felt insurmountable to restart. And so I think just being realistic with yourself and know that you're going to get, maybe this video is going to prompt you to post a couple times for, the next 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden you find, I haven't posted in a month. That shouldn't mean that you just keep on not posting. Consistency for you could just be, all right, let me try to go 4 weeks in a row. Or maybe posting every week is really not doable. Let's post every other week. Again, the scheduling tool that LinkedIn has built into it, Facebook and Instagram has Creator Studio. That's a free tool that you can post once. It'll go on both channels and you can schedule it. Like, I have found scheduling to be so helpful for me to have some of that flexibility. And again, I'm still not perfect. I release YouTube videos every week, I say, but I've missed a day or two. I've missed a week or two when things have gotten crazy, and that's okay. I've kept going though. The hardest part, I feel like, is if you start to build momentum, stop, and then you just never restart again. So, and my bonus, I guess my last one for you is don't feel like you have to do everything. You're an event professional, you're an event planner, an event producer, an event vendor. You are not a social media manager. If you have someone on your team who's a social media manager and can do that for you, great, congratulations. But if you're independent like I am, or a really, really small business, I know I got overwhelmed. There's so many channels. I never really figured out Twitter. I'm on Threads, but I don't post on Threads. Like, I find some of that stuff overwhelming. And so what I did is I really just kind of dumbed it down for myself. And it's like, I enjoy Instagram. That's where I'm going to interact with my friends. I still have a Facebook account, but I'm more interactive on Instagram with friends. So I'm going to post on my business Instagram because that's just fun for me. And then LinkedIn, professional, I'm a business owner. That's going to be kind of an obvious one for me. And it's going to be a little more polished maybe than what I post on Instagram. And those are my 2 channels. I do a podcast, I do YouTube, I try to do an email newsletter every so often, but I really just focus on those 2 social channels. And again, Instagram has the feature where I can post on Facebook, which is great. So I can still check that box without necessarily stressing about redoing my content, but just whatever works for you. I think for most event pros, I would really start with LinkedIn. I feel like that's the big one that if you're showing that you're posting actively, not spamming, but actively posting about what you're doing, it just helps people feel kind of clued in with what's going on. And it's a business opportunity for you. You can either get new clients or get a new job or have someone think of you when a new opening comes up of like, hey, I think Logan would be good for that. Why don't I reach out to her? Because you never know what you're missing out on if you are just not posting. Well, there's your little pep talk from Event Planner Me to get you to post some content as an event pro. We can do it. I believe in you. Go get them. I'm Logan Clements. I'm a freelance event producer based in Seattle, Washington, but I execute events here and all over the world. I want to thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.